Exercise 8.1 is about optimal incentive contracts. So as you can see here, I report the text of the exercise, and in bold characters you can find some important information about the exercise that you should take into account in solving the questions A to D of this exercise. So this is an exercise about Sharon, who is a brilliant cook working in a restaurant in Amsterdam with a contract giving her a utility U out. So this is the monthly utility that Sharon has with the current contract. Then a renewed hotel offers Sharon a new job, a new contract. And the contract provides a fixed monthly income of W plus some bonus. And these bonuses are based on each customer served. So they depend on the quantity of customer that Sharon is going to serve. We need to know somehow the productivity of Sharon. So with each unit of effort E, Sharon is able to prepare meals for 3 customers. So this is the information that you have here. But she also has a cost. And this cost is CE 161 over 6 E squared. Assume that Sharon first decides whether to accept or reject the hotel's offer, and if she accepts, she decides on her effort level. So these are the kind of information. We have the information of the old contract, the information of the new contract, and then we have how this game is going to play. And basically Sharon is then going to be the first one to decide, and then she has to decide her effort level. Let's now move to question A. So in question A, we are asked to find Sharon's optimal level of effort. This is exactly as in the previous exercises, so nothing new here. So Sharon utility depends on remuneration minus the cost of putting some effort in her job. So remember that Sharon serves 3 meals for unit of effort. So this is a very important information that we have to take into account from now on. So the utility of Sharon is going to be a function of effort, as you can see here, and it's going to be the fixed amount of wage, the fixed wage that she gets every month, so W, plus 3E times B. 3E is the quantity she can produce. So this is Q, 3 times E, you should think of this as Q, times the bonus, minus 1 over 6 E squared. That is exactly the cost that Sharon has to put effort in her job. Okay, so once you have defined the utility that Sharon gets from her job, then you just need to maximize this function. And in order to maximize this function, you need to obtain the derivative, and then with respect to the effort, the derivative of the utility function with respect to the effort, and then to put this derivative equal to 0. So the derivative with respect to E is 3b minus 1 over 3 times E. And then you have to put this equal to 0, as you can see here in red. And if you put this derivative equal to 0, you can easily obtain the optimal level of effort. And the optimal level of effort is 9 times B, 9B. So you have to remember this result because it's going to be very useful in the next questions. Question B. Compute the fixed wage that the hotel will offer to convince Sharon to change jobs. So here, we have to combine the info we know about Sharon and the solution to the previous question. So we know that the utility of Sharon, remember, was this, W plus 3EB minus 1 over 6 E squared, but we now know what is the optimal level of Sharon. So what we're going to do, we are just going to rewrite the utility, but instead of using E, we are going to substitute the optimal level of effort that we know it's 9B. Okay, so the utility now looks like wage plus B times 3 times 9B, remember 9B is the optimal level of effort, minus 1 over 6 times 9B squared. Okay, this is exactly the utility as in the previous slide, as in point A, but we have just substituted E with 9B, that is the optimal level of Sharon. Then, if we just do the math, here I just do the math, so I multiply 9 times 3, b squared. Here I just do the square and then I multiply by 6, and then we rearrange a bit things, then we are going to get this function here. So the utility of E, according to the optimal level of Sharon, is going to be W plus 27 over 2 times b squared. So now we know this value. we know that Sharon is already working for a very important restaurant in Amsterdam, so she's gonna change her job and she's gonna go to work to the new hotel that is offering her a new contract only if the utility that she's gonna get with the new contract is gonna be at least the same or even larger than the utility that she get at the restaurant where she's working. So again, in other words, Sharon is going to accept the new contract if the new contract gives her more advantage with respect to the old contract. And in this case, for us, advantage means utility. So if the new utility, it's going to be the utility under the new contract is going to be at least the same as the utility of the previous contract, so the current contract that Sharon has, then she's going to consider moving from the restaurant to the hotel to work. We know that the utility that Sharon is getting from her current job is U out. Remember, this was written in the text. So we know that if the utility under her optimal effort, that is the utility here, something that we have found here, is at least equal to this U out, then she's going to consider changing job and she's going to work for the new place. And here, if you just rearrange as remember that the question is asking you for the fixed wage that the author will offer to convince Sharon. So if you start from this equality and you solve with respect to W, so the wage, you will find that the wage that is going to convince Sharon to change job, the fixed wage that is going to convince Sharon to change job, is going to be the utility of the current job minus 27 over 2 b squared. So this is the solution to point B. Let's now move to point C. So now we know what is the optimal wage that should be offered to Sharon in order to make her change job. Now the question is, what is the optimal bonus for the hotel to convince her? So in this case, we need to start with the hotel profit function. So obviously the hotel is interested in making profit, so we have now to consider what is the hotel profit function with respect to Sharon work. So the profit function is going to be a function of P, so the price that of each meal, the quantity produced, and the kind of bonus. So in other words, the profit function is going to be P times Q, so the number of meals that the author is going to sell times the price of each meal, minus the amount of money that they have to pay Sharon to work. And this is going to be this W minus B times Q. If we just substitute and remember that we already know, and if we just substitute and we keep in mind the quantity that Sharon is able to produce, remember that this was 3 meals per unit of effort, we can just rewrite this. And this is going to be 3 times PE minus W. So basically this Q here is just 3E. So this is why you obtain 3 times P times E minus W minus 3BE. Then if you just simply do the math here and you just substitute the optimal effort level in point A, so we know what's going to be the offer put by Sharon, we know that this is going to be the optimal effort, so 9 times B. So if here in this equation here, we just substitute this E with this optimal level, that is 9B, then, and we do the math, then we obtain 27 times P times B minus W minus 27B squared. So this is the hotel profit function. If we now take this hotel profit function, we also know what is the optimal wage. So we see that this profit function also contains this W, but in point B, we have computed what is the optimal wage, fixed wage for Sharon that the hotel should offer to her. So if we now, instead of having this W, we just substitute with this value here, so U out minus 27 over 2B squared is exactly what you see here. Then we can just substitute it, do some math, and we obtain that the hotel profit function as a function of P and B is going to be 27 times P times B minus U out minus 27 over 2 times B squared. So remember that we have started with a very general definition of profits. Then, as a first step, we have substituted the quantity produced by Sharon, that is 3 times E. This was the first step. Then the second step was to substitute E with the optimal level of Sharon effort that we have found in question point A. And then the last step of this exercise, of this part of the exercise, was to substitute W with the optimal fixed salary, fixed wage that we found in point B. So again, first step, substitute Q with 3E. Then second step was just substitute E with the optimal level of effort. And then substitute W with the optimal fixed wage offered by the hotel. And then what you obtain? We obtain this hotel profit function. We know how to maximize a function, and we, especially in this case, we want to maximize with respect to bonus, because the question is asking us what is the optimal bonus for the hotel. So we have this function here, that is the profit function of the hotel. In order to maximize this function, we just need to do two steps. The first step is to take the first derivative, that in this case is going to be 27p minus 27b. And then we have to impose this derivative equal to 0. So this is the first order condition. So first we compute the derivative of the profit function with respect to the bonus. And then we equal this derivative to 0. And then what you obtain is that the bonus that the hotel should pay to Sharon in order to maximize the profit function is going to be P. So B is equal to P in this case. So now we have all the information. We have the optimal level of Sharon's effort, we have the fixed wage that the hotel should pay her, and we have also the optimal level of bonus in order to maximize profit. Now we can go to question D. Assume that the hotel's price for each meal is 50, so now we know this P is going to be 50, and that Sharon utility obtained from her current contract equals 12,000 euro. What fixed wage will the hotel offer Sharon? So this is extremely simple. So basically here the exercise is giving us two extra information with respect to what we have done so far. So up to now we'll just consider P as the generic price of each meal. Now we have a specific number that is 50 euro. And now, since now we have just considered U out as a sort of generic number, so the utility of Sharon in her current job in a restaurant in Amsterdam. Now we are given a specific case, we are given specific numbers, and we have just to see whether what would be the fixed wage that the hotel should offer to Sharon with this specific number. So basically we just need to take our results from points B and C, and then we just have to put and to use real numbers in order to see how things would look like. So let's start. So if we combine the results found so far, we know that wage is equal to U out minus 27 over 2b squared. So if we go back, we can see that this was exactly the result that we have found in question B. So now we have to give a number to this W. So what we know here, we basically know that P is equal to B and it's equal to 50, because we have shown that B is equal to P, but now we know, because the exercise is telling us that P is equal to 50. So as the exercise is telling us that the price for a meal is equal to 50, but because of our results in point C, we also know that also B, the bonus, is going to be equal to 50. So this means that in this formula here, now we know the B here, and this B is going to be 50. But now, if we read carefully the text, we also know what is the utility that Sharon is getting from her current job at the restaurant in Amsterdam. And this utility, that is U out, is 12,000 euro. So here exactly you can see this thing. So we have two extra information. We basically have all the information that we need to compute the wage, because we know what is this term, is 12,000 euro. And we know that beta is exactly, B, sorry, is exactly equal to the price for a meal, but we know that the price of a meal for a meal is 50 euro. So if we just substitute in this formula here, so wage is going to be 12,000 minus 27 over 2 times 50 squared. If you just do the math, you will obtain that the fixed wage that the hotel should offer to maximize the probability, so to make Sharon accept this offer, is minus 21,750, so minus 21,750. So this can look as a strange result because this is a negative wage, but this is not something uncommon in the real world. you can think that in this case, so Sharon fixed wage would be negative. This means that Sharon would pay the hotel to work and earns with the bonus. In this case, with this kind of contract, with the bonus equal to the price and a fixed wage of minus 21,750, so what you see here, Sharon would accept this offer. Again, this might look a little bit strange because this is a negative wage, but you can think of many cases in reality, for example, franchising contracts in which this is exactly what happened. Suppose that, for example, you want to open a McDonald's restaurant, so what you have to do, you have to pay in order to be able to open a McDonald's restaurant, and then you're gonna make your profits by selling products. But basically, you're gonna have a fixed amount of money to pay to McDonald's in order to be able to use the McDonald's label, and then you can earn money through selling products. And this is exactly the situation that you see here. You can find more information about these kind of contracts and about these kind of cases like the one in this exercise in your book.